We have a gentleman from South Dakota. But when he was just a young fella, his family moved out west to Portland, Oregon. There was a band out there that Hal fell in love with. They did this style of music. Portland was their home base, and they had a club there. And when Hal went to the club to try to get in and listen to this wonderful band, they wouldn't let him in. He was underage. So, as it turned out, there was a movie theater right next to this club. It was part of the same building, really. So, it turned out if you went into the movie theater, went up into the second floor of the theater, into the men's room, you can't make this stuff up, you know. Into the men's room, the wall in the men's room was the same wall next door that the band was backed up to. So when you're in the men's room in the theater, it was like you were in the club next door, because it was just that sound was just right there. So he spent many of his weekends in the men's room. This is true. He learned all their arrangements, all their songs, just by listening to them, all their stupid jokes, everything. And when the time came that they auditioned a tuba player, Hal was right there. They were amazed at how well he knew their stuff, see? So that was the beginning of Hal's career. From there, he went from Portland down to San Francisco and worked with many big names, Clancy Hayes and people like that. And then from there, he went to New Orleans, worked there for a while, and then came to Atlanta in the early 60s. And he's been playing tuba. He's our tuba player, Hal Johnson. Now, I think I know the answer to this question, but is there anybody out there from Montana? See, you know, I ask that question every time, because this guy claims to be from Montana, and I'm convinced nobody is really from Montana. It's a place you go through on your way someplace else.
You're right.
But anyway, he claims to be from Montana, and I'm going to put him on the spot right now, because I'm going to ask him for some kind of proof that he actually hails from that state. What can you say, do, or whatever?
I can say something in Montanese. That's the local language of
Montanese. They have their own language. Okay, I'd love to hear something in Montanese.
It goes like this. Kamakaya yippee yippee yay yippee yay. Kamataya yippee yippee yay.
Kamataya, yeah. Does that mean anything to any of you out there? Doesn't mean a thing to me. What does that, is there a translation?
Yes, there is. It means, do the sheep have names?
Do the sheep have names? Okay. Well, let's just carry on from there. Bill went to San Francisco at the same time our tuba player, Hal Johnson, went to San Francisco. They hooked up. Now, I'm talking about 75, 80 years ago. They have been together since then. They have been fast friends musically and personally all this time. Together they went to New Orleans. Together they came to Atlanta. And they have been together all these many years. And, you know, when you hear them play, it just sounds like some old friends playing together. Anyway, on banjo and vocals, Bill Rattan.
Thank you, Brian.
And I've already told you about our drummer, Stan Joseph, who Katrina chased out of New Orleans and sent him to Atlanta. And he has made such a difference. You know, when you grow up eating red beans and rice from when you're 1 year old, and you're listening to this music down there, it just somehow gets inside of you. And when you play drums, it just is very obvious. It's just such, isn't he a wonderful drummer? Yeah. Anyway, so we're so glad that he is part of Hotlanta, Dixieland Jazz. Give him another hand. Stan Joseph, vocals and drums. Back in 1990, I wasn't playing enough Dixieland. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to put my own band together, and maybe that'll change the scene for me, because I grew up loving Dixieland. Dukes of Dixieland, you know, back in the 50s, and they were kind of a nationally known group. And, you know, there was just something about that music that is, it's infectious, you know, it gets inside of you. You want to move, it's all about dancing. All this music from 1900 to about 1945 was all about dancing. That's what made it so popular. And then after 1945, jazz morphed into a kind of a small group bebop thing in clubs, and it was no longer a dance music. It was strictly a listening music. And of course, so the audience disappeared because the audience wanted something to move with. And there was kind of a limbo time between the end of danceable jazz and when Elvis Presley brought some rock and roll and gave us something to dance to again. So anyway, this music was all about dancing. And that's one of the things you just love about it. But anyway, I had a newspaper out in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and God, the weather there is, I know there's some people from Buffalo here, and it's not a lot different from Buffalo, New York in terms of winters, because we get that stuff off Lake Michigan and all that cold wind and snow and everything, you know, and then I am on my bicycle trying to deliver papers in 4 feet of snow, you know, and my nostrils are freezing together when I breathe in. And then I saw this movie, Song of the South by Walt Disney, and there was a place where it was sunny and it was just so peaceful, and the bluebirds would fly around your head and sing to you, and there were wonderful stories about Brer Bear and Brer Fox and Brer Rabbit, and I thought, my God, that's where I want to live. I don't want to live in Wisconsin, you know. So in 1970, I moved to Georgia. And by damn, if it wasn't just like that. Anyway, so we are Hotlanta Dixieland Jazz, and it's a treat for us to play for you right now. And what do we got lined up here? Oh yeah, I'm going to feature Stan on another song here. This is another sad song, but it's fun to listen to nevertheless. A little thing called Mama's Gone Goodbye.